All right, and welcome back for another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to help make Calhoun County a better and safer place by helping us lock up the bad guys. I'm your host, Chris Wright, along with new Chief Deputy John Garlick.
Yes, thank you.
And because we've got a new Chief Deputy who used to be captain, we have a new captain as well, don't we, John?
Well, actually, I was lieutenant. I skipped
lieutenant.
right over
I'm
captain,
sorry.
and we've brought in a captain, our first captain in Calhoun County, Marcus Wood, who's not new to the sheriff's office. He was with the sheriff's office for many years before he went off to train all the law enforcement people in Alabama, and now he's back with us, and we're happy to have him.
Congratulations, Marcus. Welcome home.
Thank you, thank you.
So you've been working at Jacksonville State University there at the training?
Yes, I was employed there at the Northeast Alabama Law Enforcement Academy for the last 2 years, training all of the law enforcement officers from across the state of Alabama.
Yeah, we do our crazy criminal at the end of the show every week, and I remember years ago we had the crazy criminal story. We were talking about some guy that had committed some crime in Jacksonville. I can't remember what he did, but he had committed the crime and he's on the run, and he runs into that building where all these police officers are being trained,
yes.
Runs in there, didn't realize the mistake he had made.
That's right, that's right.
Everybody looking for their first collar.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been training folks that are working now behind the badge all over the state.
Yes, correct.
Cool. All right, so what's got you excited about being back with the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office?
It's a new endeavor. It's an opportunity to work with Sheriff Matthew Wade and do some new and exciting things at the Sheriff's Office.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I'm sure there will be plenty of exciting things to do.
Oh yeah, we have
Like
plenty of stuff.
Starring on a TV show. It's, duty number one here.
Yes, yes.
You looked really excited about being on the show today.
It's a new endeavor.
A new endeavor. All right. Well, we're glad that you are here. And John, let's talk about the audience and what they've accomplished.
Oh gosh, yeah, let's bring the numbers up. They arrested 4 last week, so bringing us to 3,870 people arrested since we started this show. However long ago it was. How many years has it been?
It's been about 12 and a half years now.
12 and a half years.
So 3,870, that's my number. So I've been hosting the show all that time. What's your number, Marcus?
4.
I'm going to take personal credit for all 3,870 of those arrests, even though I didn't actually make a single one of them. And I didn't provide the information for a single one of them.
But thankfully we had lots of citizens out there who have and continue to provide us locations and where we are able to go out and bring those people in.
And as we've been doing this for 12 and a half years now, we kind of get a little bit lax sometimes in reminding people of some of the details on how this works. It used to be every week we would tell everybody, we don't need your information, just your name, and you could get a cash reward of up to $1,000.
Could, that's exactly right. So you call the 238-1414 number, let them know you'll be talking to somebody on a phone line. Don't want you to give them your name. They will give you a code number when you're finished, and you can call the sheriff's office and get follow-up on whether your code number resulted in an arrest. And if it did, then the Crime Stoppers Board votes on what kind of reward to put out there.
Not every piece of information leads to an arrest, and not every
Right.
piece of information ends up getting a reward, but we like handing out the reward money whenever we are able to get some information that leads to an arrest, because it helps encourage that information to keep coming. So we want to send out that reward money.
And it does, and it's very important. And really the business community is making up the bulk of the Crime Stoppers Board now. So the business community is encouraging the fundraising to get the reward money into the account, more or less, and they want to give that reward money.
I thought Marcus was paying the reward money.
Out of his own pocket. Marcus has his own personal bank. He does make loans.
All right, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the first half of this week's lineup and someone who is providing beautiful music for East Alabama here in just a few minutes on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
Ford Ford brand has always brought you impressive style and legendary quality, and Sonny King Ford brings you the lowest price and the largest inventory, new or pre-owned. The new 2015 F-150 gets the best gas mileage of any truck without giving up its powerful towing capacity. The iconic new 2015 Mustang, with its classic pony car looks and hunkered down stance, preserves a legacy that defines American motoring. For over 93 years, Sonny King Ford, for the best cars and best price.
Amazing grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
A crackhead,
drug addict,
alcoholic,
meth freak,
a wretch.
like me.
I once was.
Homeless,
broken, sad,
just lost,
but now I am.
sober.
happy.
I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
AOD Federal Credit Union. You already know their friendly staff and great loan products. So here's reason number 8 to choose AOD FCU, a new all-platinum Visa credit card. Call 1-800-637-0299 or visit AODFCU.com to start earning 1% cash back on purchases. Your good credit earns you a better rate. A new Platinum Visa card. Another reason you belong at AOD Federal Credit Union.
Hi, I'm Katina Houston Stroud with Family Links, and this is the Family Tip of the Week. With all the temptations buzzing around our kids, simply saying no to them 1,000 times creates a spirit of defiance. We have to build bridges to them from the ground up. The construction should begin early and include having fun as a family, laughing and joking, playing board games, throwing or kicking a ball, shooting baskets, playing ping pong, running with the dog, talking at bedtime, swimming together, participating in sports, getting kids in great churches with good youth programs, being a sponsor of the school band, and doing 1,000 other things that tend to cement the generations together. The tricky part is to establish friendships while maintaining parental authority and respect. It can be done, and it must be done. When creating rules for your children need to know that you care. Basically, if you're trying to create rules and your children don't think that you care for them and their well-being, rebellion will most assuredly ensue, especially in the teenage years. However, if your children fully trust you and know that you're just trying to do what's right by them, then they are far more likely to comply with your request. Remember, there's a quote that says, rules without relationships equals rebellion. Relationship without rules equals chaos, but a relationship plus rules equals respect and responsibility. For more family tips, please contact Family Links at 256-820-5911.
And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up on our lineup this week, Bobby Odom. Mr. Odom, last known to be living in Dothan, he's wanted for failure to pay on theft of property first. And meet Jason Adams. Mr. Adams, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to appear on illegal possession of prescription drugs. And this is Jonathan Rice. Mr. Rice, last known to be living in Bowdoin, Georgia, he's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance ×2 and possession of marijuana second. And take a look at Timothy Crook. Mr. Crook, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for a violation of the Sex Offender Registration Act and a probation violation on a violation of the Sex Offender Registration Act. And this is Lisa Pruitt. Ms. Pruitt, last known to be living in Ohatchee, she's wanted for failure to appear on domestic violence third assault. And meet Albert Robinson. Mr. Robinson, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted on a probation violation for assault third. And last up for the first half of our lineup, D'Angelo Russell. Mr. Russell, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for probation violation on possession of marijuana first. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
All right, we'll have some more bad guys for you here in just a few minutes, but right now we want to welcome Christopher Henley to the program. Chris is the organist at Anniston First United Methodist Church. Good to see you, Chris.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
We've been enjoying some really nice music here. This is where I go to church as well, so I get to hear you play all the time. And yeah, a lot of times my wife and I, our family, will go into the contemporary service most of the time during the year, but at Christmas time we always go into the sanctuary for the formal service there, the traditional service. And just something about the traditional service at this time of the year, and hearing the organ certainly adds a whole lot to it.
You know, we've got a really strong music program at Anniston, both in the sanctuary and in the bridge. Jason Wright takes care of all of our music in the bridge, and he does a wonderful job. And our director of music in the sanctuary, Kathy Murphy, also does a phenomenal job. Our really big program we do every Christmas is Oh Holy Night, in which we have the praise band, the youth praise band, youth choir, chancel choir, flute ensemble, saxophone ensemble, handbell choir. I mean, we've got it all.
Yeah, you've got it all.
We just for the record, we are not doing anything to manipulate the video here on Chris. He does not actually have a bunch of wrinkles and such. He is not 80 years old, like you probably expect from an organist. How old are you, Chris?
I am 22.
22 years old, and a senior at the University of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
And what is your
I know
major?
you don't like that. Organ. I'm a music major. It's organ performance.
Organ performance. Where else in the world can you make? I guess at Alabama they allow you to choose your own. You can structure your own major these days, right? Is that correct?
They do have a program called New College where you can structure the major, but actually there's a historical precedent for the organ major. They've had one since at least the, I think, 50s.
Wow.
So there are only a few schools in Alabama that offer an organ degree, but the University of Alabama is the largest one.
It's a big issue for a lot of churches and other places as well that have invested sometimes hundreds of years ago, sometimes more recently, in really nice organs, and finding somebody to really play those instruments is not easy these days, is it?
Right. There is an organization, though, that is committed to educating new organists, the American Guild of Organists. And recently we have started a new initiative called the AGO Young Organists, and I'm actually on the executive board for the Southeast chapter. And we try to encourage young organists and young pianists to become organists. And then we offer them educational resources. There are various scholarships available. We've recently started a mentorship program. So if you're a young organist and you want to work with someone, or at least get some ideas from someone who's been doing it for a lot longer, we can put you in touch with someone who's a professional organist, usually with a degree or two.
Now, what is the difference? Obviously, I know that there are several differences between a piano and an organ, but they've got the keys. There's the similarity there, and you mentioned pianists becoming organists. Mm-hmm. How hard is it to make that transition?
Depends how hard you're willing to work. The organ is really, there are a lot of differences, way too many to go into here, but one of the big things is you have a pedal board. So you have 32 notes that you play with your feet. You can play up to 4 notes at one time if you use both your toes and your heel in each foot. You can play 4-note chords. No one needs to do that, but you know, sometimes it's fun. But
depends on how big your feet are. Right?
Exactly. And then all of the different stops that give you different sounds. You have to learn what works, what doesn't. There are various books, believe it or not, some as thick as this, on organ registration, the art of choosing what stops do you pull for what sound. And then there's hymn playing, and then playing actual repertoire. And on piano, you know, you read 2 lines of music. On organ, you're reading 3 simultaneously.
So you've got to be smarter than me, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that at all. But you have to really focus and be willing to work really hard at what you do. Mm-hmm. Which pretty, you know, I know a lot of people that are plenty smart to be organists, but they look at that and they say, you know, that's just too much work. And sometimes I wake up in the morning and I think, why did I do this?
See, I think organists would be really great helicopter pilots.
I still can't drive a stick, so I'm not even
we might want to hold off on the flying then. You can fly with the Sheriff Matthew Wade, I think. That might be
No, we don't let anybody fly with the sheriff.
Inside joke, if you don't know, don't ask. So, what makes a 22-year-old want to be an organ? Obviously, you decided before you were 22. How long ago did you decide you wanted to play the organ?
Well, I first started piano when I was 6, and I really quit when I was 6 also. I hated it. I decided I was going to take karate. I failed the white belt exam 3 times, so I went, well, this is not an option. I grew up actually working with my dad at Talladega Auto Parts. He's the owner of that business, and so I grew up working with cars. And when I was, it's about 10 or 11, my family started going to First Baptist Church in Talladega. And that was the first time I'd ever heard a pipe organ in person. And so I went up to go meet the organist afterwards, who actually had played for my sister's wedding back in the early 90s. So I had a chance to meet him. He said, well, if you want to come back next week, I'll take you up and let you see the pipes in the chambers. So I went back every Sunday afternoon and every Sunday evening after each service, getting a little bit of organ exposure. And when I was 14, I went to Macon, Georgia for an American Guild of Organists program called a Pipe Organ Encounter. It's where you go spend a week with other people who are, some are organists and some are just pianists who are interested in learning organ. And we go and have organ lessons, lots of concerts, recitals, all sorts of things. And that's really what solidified it in my mind that I think I could do this for the rest of my life.
All right. Well, we need to take a quick break, but we want to talk more about the music program and things going on in the area. We will do that in just a few minutes, and we'll have the second half of this week's lineup when we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
Ready for a new ride? Get ready for Rig. I'm Rig A. Marole, and I am ready with all the fancy jargon, made-up expenses, marketing gimmicks, and flat-out lies that you've come to expect when you go car shopping. You want to pay way too much for a piece of junk like this? Get a load of me. Rig A. Marole at your neighborhood used car dealer. I'll have you marolling off this lot in your new vehicle.
I'm Marty Boyles, and I guarantee no rigmarole here at Jacksonville Auto Sales. Just good cars and trucks at fair prices. We're in Jacksonville across from Walmart, or find us on the web at jascars.com. Remember, Jacksonville Auto Sales, home of the no rigmarole deal.
I have my own lawn care service. One day I had some blades that was bent. I was probably here for 5 minutes and they had me back on the road going.
It helps me make more money simply because it's a more dependable machine. In side-by-side comparisons, people want to say they're better, but I've driven them and Toro is the best.
Hey folks, come see us at Foothills Tractor. We're your one-stop shop for anything you need. Locally owned, locally operated, give you the best customer service guaranteed.
Grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
A crackhead,
drug addict,
alcoholic,
meth freak,
a wretch,
like me.
I once was.
homeless,
Broken. Sad.
Just lost.
but now I am
Sober.
Happy.
I'm found.
Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, James Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth, last known to be living in Birmingham. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance. And this is Troy Dial. Mr. Dial, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana second. Take a look at Melissa Hall. Miss Hall, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for failure to appear on domestic violence third, harassment, and a bond revocation for criminal trespass third. And this is Lisa Ferguson. Miss Ferguson, last known to be living in Montgomery. She's wanted for a probation violation on arson first. And take a look at Heather Harris. Miss Harris, last known to be living in Atala. She's wanted for failure to appear on receiving stolen property third. And last up in our lineup this week, Rebecca Perry. Miss Perry, last known to be living in West Blockton, Alabama. She's wanted for assault third. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you know the whereabouts of these folks, please call Crime Stoppers at 256-238-1414.
The crime fighting is not done. We'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show coming up here in just a few minutes. But right now, Chris Henley is still with us from Anniston First United Methodist Church, 22 years old and a rising quickly organist who's taking over the organ scene here in East Alabama and the Southeast as well. And we're very glad to have you in Anniston, Chris.
Well, I'm glad to be in Anniston. I've been here. I celebrated my 2-year anniversary at First Methodist about 2 weeks ago, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the organ is what you're becoming famous for, but that's not the only part of the music that you contribute to at the Anniston First United Methodist Church. We've got a really diverse music program going right now.
We do. One of the things that as an organist is really important is developing your skill as a choral conductor, because really, you know, we look at the organ and piano, we think of those as next door neighbors, but really it's organ and choir. The history of organ and choral music goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. So recently I've started venturing into the choral field a little bit more. Years ago, I joined the Oxford Christian School Concert Choir directed by Jenny Wall, and that's how I really got my start in choral music, and then joining university singers at the University of Alabama. And in some of my own classes, having to study, I took a year of choral conducting and a year of choral music with organ. And so recently, we decided that we could expand our ministry at Anniston First by creating a new vocal ensemble, the Noble Camerata, which is a currently 9-voice vocal ensemble that we think is a really, really high quality. We can perform some repertoire that's a little harder for just the average choir to do. We can do it, almost everyone in the choir has a degree in music or has studied, or at the very least has studied voice for some years. Which is a good opportunity for all of these singers to get a chance to sing music they've sung years ago but don't have a chance now. It's also a chance for me as an organist to develop my skills a little bit more as a choral conductor. Our really big event that we're looking forward to at Anniston First is this Thursday, the 22nd, at 6 o'clock, is a festival service of 9 lessons and carols. And that actually the prelude begins at 5:15, and then the service itself begins at 6. And it's not just the Noble Camerata, but it's the choir of Anniston First Methodist, some choral singers from St. Michael and All Angels, Jacksonville First Presbyterian Church, Jacksonville First Methodist, and others from around the whole Calhoun County area.
That's one of the gifts that Kathy Murphy, you were talking about her earlier, that's one of her gifts is she just has a gift for bringing so many talented musicians in together. She just attracts them like a magnet, I think you said.
Oh yeah, she's a sponge. She just sucks all of the good musicians up. Working with Kathy is really a phenomenal opportunity. In the previous churches I've had, every church I've worked for, I learned something, but I've really been fortunate to work at First Methodist with Kathy and just learn how she deals with people and learn how and figure out where she gets all of these musicians from. I still don't know.
And Marcus, what part are you going to play?
The drums.
We'll put Marcus on the drums. All right, find a spot for him.
Show up tonight at 6 o'clock for a rehearsal.
Okay, I'll be there.
Right. So I got to ask you, organ it's a bit of a unique instrument, and I've been to some places where I've seen some fantastic organs. I was at the Royal Albert Hall many years ago in London. Looking at the pipes for that organ is just absolutely amazing to somebody who doesn't even know anything about the organ. Is there one or a couple of organs that you just dream of one day getting to play?
Oh yeah, the one I really, really want to play is at let's see, Saint-Sulpice in Paris, France. It is an organ built by a man named his last name was Calhoun, and he was the father of the French organ building school, the French Romantic organ building school. Following the French Revolution, actually during the French Revolution, a lot of churches were either burned down, and because of the Enlightenment, they were turned into temples of reason, and the pipes were melted down for ammunition. So a lot of what we call the French classical organs were destroyed, most of them destroyed. And the French government decided they were going to essentially have a bailout program that would hire one organ builder to go around and repairing all the organs. But they gave them a really low bid, but they cheated, basically they treated the French government and did more harm than they did good. And so a few years later, Calhoun came in and said, well, instead of rebuilding what you've got, let's basically turn the organ building world on its head. And they did that, and from there, the French symphonic organ was born. And that is my favorite type of sound. There are only a handful of instruments in the United States that could even begin to replicate that sound. But you go over to a French cathedral and you're dealing with 8 and 9 seconds of reverberation. So you play a chord and you hear it for another 8 seconds.
You've got to have a skill and some confidence to play in that setting.
You have to not trust your ears, because what you hear is not what you're playing.
All right. Well, Chris, I wish we could talk about this more, but it's about time to wrap things up. But please, we do encourage everybody to come and find there's always some great music at Anniston First, and people are welcome to come and enjoy the music.
Always.
All right. Thank you very much.
Glad to be here.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show and our Crazy Criminal of the Week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
AOD Federal Credit Union. You already know their friendly staff and great loan products. So here's reason number 8 to choose AOD FCU. a new all-platinum Visa credit card. Call 1-800-637-0299 or visit AODFCU.com to start earning 1% cash back on purchases. Your good credit earns you a better rate. A new Platinum Visa card. Another reason you belong at AOD Federal Credit.
I have my own lawn care service. One day I had some blaze that was bent. I was probably here for 5 minutes and they had me back on the road going.
It helps me make more money simply because it's a more dependable machine. And side-by-side comparisons, people want to say they're better, but I've driven them and Toro is the best.
Hey folks, come see us at Foothills Tractor. We're your one-stop shop for anything you need. Locally owned, locally operated, give you the best customer service guaranteed.
The Ford brand has always brought you impressive style and legendary quality, and Sonny King Ford brings you the lowest price and the largest inventory, new or pre-owned. The new 2015 F-150 gets the best gas mileage of any truck without giving up its powerful towing capacity. The iconic new 2015 Mustang, with its classic pony car looks and hunkered down stance, preserves a legacy that defines American motoring. For over 93 years, Sonny King Ford, for the best cars and best price.
And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of the show, where we ask you to put your deer stalkers on and help our investigators with these cases. First up, on November 7th, a motor was stolen from a concrete mixer on Stadium Drive in Alexandria. And sometime between December 4th and December 8th, this residence was burglarized on Wellington Road in Wellington. Electronics and jewelry were stolen from that location. And on December 11th, a residence on Mount View Road was burglarized. Now, nothing has been reported taken at this time. And sometime on December 15th, a utility trailer was stolen from this residence on Red Road 55 in Anniston. Surveillance cameras show a small blue pickup truck leaving the residence with the trailer. And sometime between December 1st and December 15th, Huron Valley Steel on Highway 144 in Alexandria was burglarized. They got away with a bunch of electrical components. And on December 15th, this barn was burglarized and a vehicle was broken into on Earl Roberts Road in Anniston. Now, no items have been reported and taken at this time. And on December 14th, the residence was burglarized on Dripping Rock Road in Piedmont. Firearms, electronics, and medications were stolen from that residence. And last up on your caseload this week, on December 18th, the vehicle was broken into on White Plains Road in Anniston. They got away with a wallet. And that's it for your cases this week. If you know anything about any of these cases, please give Crime Stoppers a call at 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
All right, it's time for our Crazy Criminal of the Week, and a lot of folks having packages delivered around the holidays. Sometimes those packages don't make it inside, do they, Marcus?
No, they don't.
People will see that package on the doorstep, they'll come and grab it and head off. And we had an individual that had a couple of packages stolen since they moved into this new house, new neighborhood. And they decided, okay, I'm going to be ready next time. So they got the security camera, and then they put out their own box. Instead of waiting for UPS to deliver a box, they got a box, put it out there on the doorstep, and waited for somebody to come steal that box. And they got them on camera stealing the box. And you may be wondering, since it wasn't a delivery, what was actually in the box? Well, yeah. It was a steaming pile of something left by their Great Dane. Yeah. Their Great Dane had contributed some compost, I guess you would say, to the box. So the individual was caught, and even though he only made away with doggy doo, that's still a crime. He stole the box, right, Marcus?
That's right.
He did.
That's
He
right.
stole the box and the poop. Got caught with egg, on his face.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right, well, that's all the time that we have for this week. We thank you for joining us, and we'll be looking for you again next time, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.